on 101.9 WDET FM. I'm Tia Graham, and this week we're joined by Jerome Vaughn, the news director of WDET. Jerome, what's happening?
I'm doing well. I hope you are too. Today we've got a fabulous show. We're previewing what's happening in Detroit on this Labor Day weekend. We'll learn more about a new battery lab that's opening up in Auburn Hills as well.
Yeah, among other things happening, of course, you just said, Jerome, the Detroit Jazz Festival is this weekend, and when you give during the show this hour, you're automatically entered in for one pair of the Jazz Pass bundle tickets for the entire weekend. It allows you to sit up front to every single stage that you go to during the Jazz Festival. So once again, if you donate or give during the Metro, you're automatically entered in for one pair of the Jazz Pass bundle tickets for the entire weekend of the Jazz Festival. But there are tons of things happening this weekend, Jerome. It's Labor Day weekend.
You know, it's officially or unofficially the end of summer. That means folks are going to get out and have a good time this weekend.
You didn't have to rain on my parade.
Hey,
I know summer's ending.
It's about laying out the truth, right?
Nah, the facts, I know. But like we said, lots of stuff is happening this weekend, and that includes the Hamtramck Labor Day Festival. The festival includes a parade, a canoe race, mini vendors, and carnival games. It will also feature a lot of musical performances throughout the weekend. One of the more notable ones is on Monday at 8 p.m. when Jack White will once again be playing with the Henchmen. To talk about the festival and their Monday performance with Jack White, we have two members of the Henchmen here with us now. Mike LaTulip is a founding member of the group and a host of the Detroit Move right here on WDET. Mike, welcome to the Metro.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course. And also with us is John Szymanski. He is also a founding member of the band and an organizer of the Hamtramck Labor Day Festival. John, welcome to the Metro.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And John, we were talking just a little bit before about the time 44th year, and you talked about going as a kid. So I wanted to start off with, how does it feel being a part of the organizing crew after being a watcher your whole life?
Yeah, it's great to be there. I've lived in that area for about 35 years. So when I was a kid, I went there, of course, and it's great to be part of the booking, faction of the festival right now. And every year we get a little bit better talent coming in. And it's been kind of improving every year, I think.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good to think, at least.
Yeah.
But for the 44th annual Hamtramck Labor Day Festival, how do you describe the festival to someone who's never been before?
Oh, just local music, and there's a pierogi eating contest this year, and we have big time wrestling and
Canoe races.
Which is
of course.
So cool.
It is.
Yeah.
I got to ask, how does that work?
Oh, all the bars in the area, they build a wooden little tank on wheels, and we race it, and people throw water balloons at us, and there's a prize at the end, and
It sounds like so much fun.
it is.
And you got to try your best not to throw too hard at folks. Just be kind when you do it.
No one's gotten
Be
hurt
kind.
yet.
All right,
Yeah.
that's good. Exactly. We're going to keep that record alive. And, just thinking about some of the unique things of the festival, you talked about the canoe race, which is really, really cool. But you will also be featuring so many cool bands and local artists, like you said. How tapped into the ground are you with the local bands and artists right now?
As far as it's good. We have local bands during the day. We have a lot of headliners, some national acts. We have a hip hop stage this year, kind of for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah. And Mike, you and John are playing this Monday with Jack White. When did you all first meet Jack White, and how did you come to play with him in you and John's band, the Henchmen?
Well, we met him, back in the late 90s. The Detroit music scene was it was on fire. It was just like very fertile and collaborative, and Jack and Meg were just, another cool couple in the scene, and they started this band, and, we were just blown away by them when we saw them, and Jack, obviously was just phenomenal talent, because we, at that point, John and I had been touring a lot, so we had seen a lot of bands, in this circuit, so.
There's a lot of collaboration, I think, back then, too. Like, a lot of bands just kind of just jammed with each other all the time, so it wasn't unusual for people to kind of make records with their friends and these kinds of things. But
yeah, Jack was playing. He played with The Go. He played with Two Star Tabernacle. He started collaborating with Brendan Benson, which was interesting. And,
yeah, everybody was in like 4 or 5 bands, it seems like.
Yeah, so he, it just came to be that we were, kind of joking around about getting a 4th member of the Henchmen. So we made this record, and he played bass on it, and
and we were bowling a lot, and Dave Buick from Italy Records was there. He's like, hey, let's make a single, and I'll put out a White Stripes single, and it's as easy as it was, really.
Wow. Are you surprised that he's blown up as much as he has, given many years ago where he is now? Are you surprised at all?
Well, at the time, I do remember thinking that I thought, again, on our level, in our scene, which was relatively small, I thought he was going to be massive, And I remember I was mentioning to somebody recently that at the time I was at work, and I think I picked up like an Entertainment Weekly or some magazine like that. And there was a little blurb with the White Stripes with a picture of them, and I held it up to my coworkers. I said, hey, take a look at this. This is the last time you're ever going to see this band in any publication, because I really didn't think the general public was ever going to welcome as much as they have this band that was, this punk blues. I thought they were fantastic. They put out that first record, the second record, amazing. But I didn't ever think that the general public was going to embrace them. I think at the time, the music that was out there was like, Nickelback and, Creed and stuff like that. I think, this was so refreshing and different. Like
it really was. I remember just coming to age with a lot of the White Stripes music. And like you just said, it was very different. The music, it kind of washed over you because it was so new. It was so fresh. And it allowed you to express yourself in a different way that you hadn't heard on the radio or just in general. And then to find out that it was out of Detroit, it was out of Metro Detroit, it felt like finally we have a representative that isn't necessarily hip hop or but it's something else that's coming out of the city of Detroit, other than Motown as well. It's another genre of music that we are known for. So that was really, really great to experience. And Mike, just sticking with you, it was Jack White who reached out to you to play with him at this festival. What was your reaction when he did, and what does it feel like playing with him again?
It's really, really cool of him to reach out to us, and I had hoped that we'd get to play again together. I honestly didn't think it was going to happen just because of, his schedule, and he's always got something going on, recording, touring, whatever. So, we're super excited to be playing with him again.
John?
So,
yeah, we reached out to, excuse me. We heard about his new record, and he was going to be doing some smaller venue tours this year. So at the festival, we thought it'd be kind of cool to get him. So we reached out to him, and he kind of just said he wouldn't be able to, the band probably couldn't do it, but maybe he could just jam with the Henchmen. So we kind of just pursued that. And again, we weren't sure it was really going to come together, but a few weeks ago, he's like, yeah, I think we can announce that and do it. So.
And John, just sticking with you, what does that mean, especially when you talk about bringing in larger names, bringing in bigger folk? What type of pull do you think this is going to have having Jack White there?
I think we all have to see how big it's going to be. I think it's going to be pretty insane.
Yeah. Well, I'm fingers crossed and hoping.
Like everyone I talk to now is like, well, I can't really make it much to the festival, but I'll see you on Monday for sure. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like everybody I talk to. So
if you're just joining us, we're talking with John Szymanski and Mike LaTulip. They are both members of the Henchmen and will be playing with Jack White on Monday at the Hamtramck Labor Day Festival. And John, how just thinking about Jack White, of course, the legacy here, thinking about the legacy in general of the Hamtramck Labor Day Festival, which is 44 years this year once again. What are some of the things that you really do hope that not only people from Hamtramck take away from it, but people who are visiting from outside of Hamtramck?
Well, that we have a festival that's as good as any other festival. I mean, we're just trying the best we can do here, and pretty proud of our lineup this year for sure.
Yeah. And Mike, just being in the scene, just working WDET, some of the local artists that you've been able to interact with who are going to be performing, any big names that stand out to you that folks should be really, really paying attention to?
Well, I was saying this to John. Every year I try to get out and see some bands local bands that I don't know. It's a great opportunity to check out, multiple bands that you may not be familiar with. So that being said, I would love to check out Mango Star. I haven't seen Mango Star yet. Mod Lang looks like an interesting. They look great. Yeah, I have not seen Mod Lang yet. I'd like to see them. I'm kind of interested to see Be Your Own Pet. I've heard some good things about them as well. So yeah, I always say I'm going to get out and see these other bands, but I end up having a couple of Jiviets and end up at my friends' bands stages and, so.
Hanging out, having a good time. Of course, it's because that's what the festival's for. So Mike, once again, you've played at the Hamtramck Day Festival before. What do you like about playing at the festival?
Well, I love the diversity of the crowd. You know, you really get to see and get a feel of the community, of the neighborhood there, and it's got a kind of a small town feel to it. And I always end up running into people that I haven't seen in quite a long time, and like I said, it's very accessible and it feels very comfortable.
It seems like it's kind of easy to park and walk around. I mean, like no one's ever complaining about it being too claustrophobic or anything like that.
You don't get yelled at very much,
which is a plus.
Yeah.
And the same thing to you, John, playing at the Labor Day Festival in Hamtramck, or just playing in front of those crowds in general. What is it like?
Well, it's great for me because I mean it's my neighborhood, and it's kind of run by all Hamtramck people, so it feels like home for me, of course. So I just gotta, it's a 2-minute walk from my house to get down there. So
nice. I love when people are from that community, from their communities, organizing for their communities because they understand what their community wants and needs. So this is a really, really great little caveat.
Give us just a little sense. What are you going to be playing over the weekend?
What are we going to be playing?
Yeah. What's a song? What's a type of song that you're going to be playing that folks might go, oh?
We are just going to do our henchman set like usual, and we'll see how the what surprises kind of come in there. We're not even really sure yet.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's maybe as much of a surprise to us as it is to everyone else. So.
I would think because you have, you're adding Jack White this go around, so it's probably going to be just a really great jam sesh with some friends.
We're just going to jam on stage. Exactly. I mean, we're going to have fun, and
I think we're digging some of our obviously our older catalog, the stuff that we played with Jack, the single that we did, and some other things that we used to play back then, covers and whatnot. So I think that, on short notice, I think that would probably be the most sensible approach.
I think a lot of people will just be excited to see you all on stage together in Hamtramck, of all spaces and places, just to kind of have this real communal feel. So, thank you.
Right in front of my bank.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I love the fact that it's so communal. It's so neighbor. I love this so much. And here we are right now, the Henchman playing.
Hey.
With Jack White.
Uh-huh.
Some other guy has taken my love away from me, and now some other guy has taken away my sweet desire. Now some other guy.
John Szymanski and Mike LaTulip are both founding members of the Henchmen, which you're hearing right now. They will be playing at the Hamtramck Labor Day Festival this Monday at 8 p.m. at the South Stage. This is one of the songs from the Henchmen. Once again, it's called Some Other Guys. In addition to playing at the festival, Mike is the host of the Detroit Move right here on WDET. Yeah. And Mike and John, thank you both for joining us on the Metro. John, he's also one of the organizers of the Hamtramck Labor Day Festival.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Play us out, Nate.
Some other guy has taken my love away from me, and I'm the lonely one. As long as I can feel alright. Some other guy.
This is the Metro on 101.9 WDET FM. And, Jerome, where else do you get a conversation where you can chat with the Henchmen who are going to be performing with Jack White?
I know. And where else do you get a chance to dance a little bit in the studio as your guests are there and you're hearing their song? I mean, only here on the Metro. Coming up in just a minute, we'll talk about a new battery lab that opened up in Auburn Hills and why it matters to the future of the economy and the climate.
Some other guy is making me very, very
It's the Metro on 101.9 WDET FM. I'm Tia Graham. Jerome Vaughn, news director, is here as well. Jerome, what's next?
Well, we're going to be talking with some folks right now about clean energy. When relying on clean sources of energy like the sun and the wind, we need a way to store that energy for later use. That's where battery technology comes into play. Batteries are used to store and transfer energy from solar panels and wind turbines. The problem with batteries sometimes is that they're expensive and sometimes dangerous. In some cases, people have died in explosions involving batteries and electric bikes. UL Solutions hopes to change that. They operate battery labs, and recently one opened in Auburn Hills. To talk about the significance of that and how battery technology works, we have a couple of guests with us. Milan Dotlich is the Vice President and General Manager of Energy and Industrial Automation at UL Solutions. Milan, welcome to the Metro.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Also with us is Kathy Fieweger. She's the Senior Vice President of Communications for the company. Kathy, welcome to the Metro as well.
Thanks so much for having us. A little bit hard act to follow Jack White there, but we'll do our best.
You're going to do fine. You're going to do fine. Kathy, so tell us, what exactly is UL Solutions?
Oh, thanks so much. We're a company that's been around, descended from Underwriters Laboratories. We've been around for 130 years. Just had our 130th year anniversary, founded after the Chicago fire, actually. And our company operates in what's called the testing, inspection, and certification business, along with software. And what we do is we test products for safety. It's really important. We have 80,000 customers in about 35 different industries, of which EV and automotive is just one.
So this battery lab has opened up in Auburn Hills. Why there as opposed to Dearborn or Dallas or Denver or anywhere else?
Well, I can take that one. One of the key reasons we developed our laboratory here is that Michigan's been a long-time key automotive and technology hub. And it's also positioned itself as the global leader in the future mobility and vehicle electrification. So for us, this resulted in a strong concentration of world-class talent there with the skills required to offer our customers these safety and performance testing services. So as we say at UL Solutions, science is our superpower. And that's why we're hiring expert battery engineers and lab techs from the area who will test electric vehicle and industrial battery products.
All right. Let me go back to Kathy for this one. There's been a lot of federal investment in battery technology. Michigan is interested in attracting that industry. Have state lawmakers done anything to help you get this lab up and running?
Well, of course, we did work with the state of Michigan and the local officials there. Yes, absolutely. We have many choices to where to locate our facilities, and the cooperation, the collaboration that we received is part of the reason, as in addition to what Milan just discussed of why we're there. It's the hub of the world's automotive industry, and this is an important place for us to be. It's the largest investment we've ever made in a battery lab, about $100 million.
And what sorts of things are you going to be doing in this lab?
Yeah, so we have a number of solutions that impact the EV market. We offer a comprehensive range of EV battery testing services to validate EV batteries' critical safety, reliability, and performance characteristics. And then we put them under bad conditions. We bake them, we shake them, we light them on fire. We put them into water, we puncture them, we crush them. To test the safety and performance, we do things that are inherently unsafe while in the safe confines of our cutting-edge laboratories.
Well, let's get into the heart of it, Milan. Why are batteries so explosive? I feel like we're hearing a lot about incidents around the country now that we didn't necessarily hear about several years ago. So why are they so explosive, and what's being done to change that?
Yeah, because of the energy density in batteries, sometimes a chain reaction inside the batteries called thermal runaway can occur when the battery generates more heat than it can dissipate. Oftentimes, lithium-ion battery fires can burn hotter and also emit toxic gases, which last longer than gas fires, which tend to burn out quickly. And it takes sometimes more fire protection skills to put these battery fires out, using much more water to extinguish them. So we are working to help companies mitigate that risk through performance validation and safety testing.
If you're just now joining us, we're talking about battery technology with a couple of folks from UL Solutions, which recently opened a battery laboratory in Auburn Hills. Milan, you talked about some of the things that you're testing. You're pushing batteries beyond their limits. Give us a short example of something very unusual you might do to, test one of these batteries.
Yeah, so one of the very interesting tests I like to watch is the crush test, where we take a battery and we put it into a large industrial vise, and then we squeeze it until it's crushed down to 70% of its original size. And then we see if the battery maintains its shape and performance afterwards. Oftentimes we talked about thermal runaway, and then we deliberately create thermal runaway in the batteries to see what will occur and how the battery will either extinguish itself or what type of gases it gives off. So the manufacturers of the batteries can make better decisions on how to produce and test it going forward.
So let me ask you, if particularly lithium-ion batteries can explode, why not use different kinds of batteries to power cars and bikes and other devices?
Sure. And, in many cases, there are different batteries that power cars and bikes. At the same time, lithium-ion batteries have high energy density. And that high energy density that has good performance in them also leads to some of the safety risks that we try to help those manufacturers mitigate.
So, Kathy, how big of a difference is there between, batteries that, store energy for solar panels or wind turbines versus the ones that are in our cars and electric bikes?
Well, I think Milan's probably better to answer the technical
Okay, Milan, go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let me go for that. Yeah, in many cases, they're very similar. It's just how the configuration of the battery and the size for what it's used. Many automotive batteries are there to power the motion of the car. We can use similar sized batteries to do backup power at a house or an industrial site. But many cases, when we're using bigger batteries to do grid store power to help balance out intermittent power generation from solar or wind, then those are much larger. And we test those larger batteries sometimes outside.
Just one last question. We've got about 30 seconds left. What can regular folks who are not experts such as yourself, what can we do to stay safe when we're dealing with these batteries?
Yeah, the best thing to do is buy the batteries from trusted sources. And when you're buying batteries to power your devices, make sure the battery is UL listed and make sure that the charger could also be UL listed for use with that battery. The compatibility between battery and charger is critical in how those batteries get charged and work.
All right.
And you probably have hundreds of products in your home already that have that UL mark on it. So take a look at it, recognize it, do your research.
All right. Milan Dotlich and Kathy Fieweger work for UL Solutions, a company that studies safety science. Thank you both for joining us on the Metro.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
This is the Metro on 101.9 WDET FM. We are experiencing a little bit of a cool off. Today, sunny and a high of 80 degrees. Tomorrow, expect a chance of rain in the late afternoon with a high of 89. And Saturday, expect a little rain in the morning. Otherwise, sunny conditions and 83 degrees.
Crews for two of Michigan's largest utilities are working to restore power after this morning. Hot, muggy conditions along with severe storms toppled trees and limbs and snapped power lines. DTE Energy says 350 schools in its service area had no power as of yesterday. As of this morning, the utility reports about 73,000 customers remain without power.
As well, coming up later in the show, we'll be chatting with Chris Collins, the president and artistic director of the Jazz Festival Foundation. The Jazz Fest is happening this weekend, and if you donate any amount right now during the Metro, you're automatically entered in for one pair of Jazz Pass bundle tickets for the entire weekend. That's 3 days of front stage seating. You make any gift, any amount right now, wdet.org/donate. You'll be automatically entered in to win that pair of Jazz Pass bundle tickets. If you want to sit up close all weekend long at the Jazz Festival, you can do that here at WDET.
Coming up next on the Metro, we'll discuss tonight's What's So Funny About Detroit event and some of the more interesting comedians in the area with WDET's Ryan Patrick Hooper. This is the Metro.
Metro on 101.9 WDET FM. I'm Tia Graham. Jerome Vaughn is here, the news director for WDET. And Jerome, I feel like laughing today. Do you feel like laughing today?
I always feel like laughing, especially when our next guest is talking to me. It makes me laugh a lot.
Exactly. I mean, I think sometimes it's the laugh itself that makes other people laugh. So it's football season. The leaves are beginning to change, and that means it's the last What's So Funny About Detroit comedy show, guys. It's happening at the Old Miami Bar in Detroit. Don't forget to bring a chair or a blanket and sit back and enjoy 6 of Detroit's funniest comedians. This is the final show of the year, and it will be headlined by Detroit's Josh Adams. I just want to confirm, Ryan, he was featured on HBO's Hard Knocks.
Yeah, this was the guy that Dan Campbell and the Lions brought in to be a comedian, and it was a huge opportunity for him.
And just like you just heard the voice joining the show to talk to us about the final What's So Funny About Detroit Comedy Showcase is Ryan Patrick Hooper. Ryan Patrick Hooper is the host of In the Groove, which comes on right after the Metro, and the comedy show tonight at Old Miami. Welcome back to the Metro, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you, Tia and Jerome.
Yay! So it is the final show of the year.
Yeah.
At the end of every single cycle, what's going through your brain as you're wrapping up?
Relief that we have somehow had perfect weather for every single one of these comedy events, and tonight is no exception. Yes. It's kind of crazy. We have had no rain. We've been doing this for 3 or 4 years in the backyard of the Old Miami, and the weather is perfect every time. And I really have to give a lot of love to the Old Miami. This is a legendary veterans-focused dive bar that's actually in the shadow of our radio tower. It's not far from our studios here. And they've given us just a wonderful home. They've got this huge backyard. It kind of feels like you're not even in the city, to be honest. Like it's a special space. It's great for comedy, and we're expecting, I think, one of our biggest crowds ever tonight. So I'm very excited.
Yes. It's just like a little oasis. You know, when you walk back there, you don't expect to see this lush grass and like just beautiful space to sit down, but there it is.
Yeah.
So,
even some of the barflies when they walk into the backyard and they see us doing the comedy show, they're like, I didn't even know this was happening back here.
Which is so cool because the Old Miami is known for just stumbling onto things and just finding something cool happening.
Yeah.
So what's different about this event versus the ones that you've had in the past?
Well, I think our showcase is different from just a lot of comedy shows in general because this is public radio. This is public radio putting on comedy, and I think we always talk about wanting to represent diverse voices. And that's something that this comedy show really aims to do. I mean, I have, non-binary comedians on this show. I have a 70-year-old comedian on the show. You know, we want different perspectives of race, of age, of diversity, and finding those experiences in comedy, it's supposed to be universal, you know? So, but everyone has very different experiences, so you need to have different voices. And unfortunately, a lot in stand-up comedy, it's a lot of mayo with salt on white bread. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of diversity when it comes to...
what was that phrase?
Just mayo with salt on Wonder Bread, like white bread. You know, it's just very, very, very white. And and that, I'm not
sweating now.
I'm not starting like a fight about like white comedians are bad or whatever. I'm just saying doesn't it make everyone happier to see like a wider array of voices or how people look on stage and their experiences? So we really wanted to make a case for that and give them a platform. I also think stand-up comedians end up kind of being philosophers of our time. They kind of break down issues we're going through. You know, it feels like the world's burning right now. And I think they help us find perspective and relief through comedy. And I don't think they get enough respect when it comes to like performing arts. You know, we talk about opera, we talk about theater. This is stand-up comedy is part of that world.
Go into that a little bit more.
I mean, here's the thing. If you're in a band with 4 people on stage, if they don't like your band, you have support. You're with people on stage. They don't like the band collectively. If you're a stand-up comedian, you are by yourself. And if the crowd doesn't like you, that means they don't like you. So it's a very vulnerable space to be in. And I give a lot of props to the comedians that are brave enough to do that. We think of comedy towns like New York, LA, Boston gets a lot of respect for comedy. I'm trying to make the case that Detroit is a sneaky good comedy town. We have one of the oldest comedy clubs in the country with Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle in Royal Oak. We have a DIY scene that has really made this an underground destination for comedy. So WDET is just sort of tossing our hat in and trying to make another opportunity for comedians to be heard.
How hard is it to put one of these shows together?
I think with management listening, I should say it's very hard and it takes a lot of extra work.
Go into that even further.
In reality, it's you know, I go to see a lot of comedy shows. I'm always paying attention to comedians. That's the fun part, is like going out and seeing someone perform and being like, wow, I need this person on the next show. This person's going to be a star. That's the fun part. That probably takes the most time, trying to like search out and actually find, you know, who's next up, who's the next qualified comedian, because this ain't open mic tonight. This is like a showcase of the best of the best. You know, I tell people like, don't, you know, try some new material, but really bring the heaters, like come through on this. So Jerome, it takes an insane amount of hours and labor and focus, and I couldn't do it without the incredible staff here at WDET.
Shout out to the staff of WDET because they're listening. No, I'm kidding. If you're just tuning in, Worlds Are Colliding. We're chatting with the host of WDET's In the Groove and the host of What's So Funny About Detroit comedy show that's happening tonight. And we're learning more about Detroit's comedy scene and the last comedy show of the year. Now, headlining tonight is Josh Adams. I've seen him perform before at the comedy show. He's absolutely hilarious. I want to play a clip of him from one of his performances right now.
Michigan weather is weird. Like Michigan, man, this don't even, like, you go outside Michigan, you have like 4 seasons in one day. I'm not lying. I mean, like, you go outside, it's hot, it's cold, it's raining, it's snowing, the leaves fall out the trees. 30 minutes later, they grow back on the trees. Like it's an earthquake, a tornado, a volcano done erupted in Ferndale. You like, when did we move to Jumanji? When did that happen?
Seriously, I was cold this morning and I'm burning up. Yeah. So, you know, it just happens that way. But go into Josh Adams and go into some of the other comedians we'll hear tonight.
Yeah, Josh is the headliner tonight. I have never done a season of these comedy shows without Josh Adams. I think he was on the very first What's So Funny. He will be on the very last What's So Funny. He is Detroit's king of comedy. I don't think a lot of people would even dispute that with me. He is an absolute star. It is only a matter of time before you see him on Netflix, on HBO with his own special. I really think that is the case for him. And it's one of those things. He walks out on stage, the energy just changes. He just has that ability to command the crowd. You know, he's got prepared jokes, but a lot of times he's just going off the top of his dome for like 40 minutes. And it's incredible to watch. And I say this to people all the time, but if you like Bill Burr, or if you like these massive global Tom Segura and all these guys, these huge comedians, they started out in backyards like this. They started out in small clubs. So this is an opportunity to really get in on the ground level. We also have Jacob Barr, Finn St. John, Miss Joyce, Zach Martina, and Kathy Ryan. So it's a really different group of people. They're all going to have very different styles of comedy. You know, WDET does not endorse the opinions of these comedians. You know, they're going to be saying some crazy stuff. It is 21 and up. If you're easily offended, think twice. You know, I like I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. Some of the comedians are wholesome. Some of them are rotten, dirty scoundrels.
I was
going to
say some are straight, hey, but
they're dirty.
Yeah, it gets down there sometimes. But it's all fun. It's all fun.
It's always
I love
a good time.
It is. And like you said, the weather's going to hold up. It's going to be perfect.
It's going to be gorgeous.
So honestly, one of my last things to you, Ryan, is when is your set going to begin tonight?
You got to have a host that keeps it moving.
Yeah.
I'll crack a joke here and there, but I don't like to take the spotlight from the comedians.
That's why I'm wondering when you're going to get a 10-minute set.
I don't think you want to see that.
I think you're...
and a lot of these stories that I tell are very true. And I don't know how much I want people to really know about me. The special guest tonight will be Bob Mervac, who's an incredible piano player, and he's going to be kind of on stage providing live piano playing for the comedians and for me, and it adds just kind of this weird mix of energy. So it's going to be incredible. Tickets still available. You can get them at the door tonight. Doors at 6, show at 7. You can still get them at wdet.org/events too, and it's a benefit for WDET. So it's just going to be fun. If you've never been to a comedy show, this would be the best one to start, and I promise you will be addicted to live comedy ever since. The energy is immaculate. I'm so excited.
I am as well. I have not been able to make it to any, so I think this is the day.
This is the one.
I don't have this is it.
You've been to ones in the past, though.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
You've been dying laughing
Yes.
in the corner.
Yeah, lots of sweaty smiles, lots of sweaty laughing happening. Ryan Patrick Cooper is the host of WDET's In the Groove and the host of WDET's What's So Funny About Detroit Comedy Showcase. Is happening tonight at the Old Miami in the Cass Corridor. Tickets are on sale right now. WDET.org/events. They're also on sale at the door. Ryan, thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you, Tia. Thank you, Jerome.
On 101.9 WDET FM. I'm Tia Graham here with Jerome Vaughn. Jerome, I'm still warm from laughing.
Well, that shows that Ryan can be a pretty funny guy, and he can find pretty funny folks, and they're going to be at the Old Miami tonight.
Doing pretty funny things. But just taking a quick look at the forecast again, sunny and 80 degrees, so you will have a great night tonight at the Old Miami. As well, tomorrow, a chance of rain in the late afternoon, however, clears up. 89 degrees is a high. Saturday, expect a little rain in the morning, and then sunny with a high of 83. Sunday, sunny, high of 82, and Labor Day itself, sunny skies and a high of 74 degrees, so looking pretty good this weekend.
Hey, and if you're out and about this weekend, remember to put on some insect repellent. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services found a dead falcon near 7 Mile and Southfield Freeway that tested positive for West Nile virus. Currently, no cases have been reported or confirmed in humans in Detroit or Wayne County, but you want to take care of yourself this weekend.
And coming up, it's Jazz Fest weekend. We'll talk with the president and artistic director about the festival coming up next. On 101.9 WDET FM, I'm Tia Graham, Jerome Vaughn. It's Labor Day weekend. It's soon.
So glad that we are getting close to this weekend. So many great things happening in Detroit this weekend. It's always an exciting time.
So, the Detroit Jazz Festival, it is a decades-long tradition here in the city of Detroit. Do you often go, or did you go growing up?
I have not gone growing up. I have real memories of hearing jazz, some downtown, some on the radio over the years, but it's something I always look forward to. And we've got something special.
Yes, exactly. So if you are
on.
going this weekend, because I know Jerome and I love to go and do things on the weekends. If you are going, we are giving away one pair of Jazz Pass bundle tickets for Jazz Fest this weekend. That's 3 days of front stage seating. provided by the Jazz Festival, which is really, really cool. So if you give right now any amount during the program, you're automatically entered in to win this pair of tickets. This bundle package gets you front row every single day of the Jazz Festival this Labor Day weekend. Once again, you can donate any amount right now during the Metro, WDET.org/donate. And when you do that, you're automatically entered in to win this 3-day pass of front row seating, which is amazing to think about because you just don't have to worry about anything. You just come up, sit down, and boom.
And unfortunately, WDET employees are not eligible for this drawing because I might enter otherwise.
I was going to say, you might still see me there.
So the Jazz Festival is going on this weekend. It's one of the big events that signals the unofficial end of summer. The Detroit Jazz Festival Foundation has been celebrating the rich history of jazz in Detroit for more than 40 years. And of course, this weekend's event is free. Tomorrow's opening night. Things kick off at the Carhart Amphitheater stage in Hart Plaza at 5. Joining us now to talk more about this quintessentially Detroit event is the president and artistic director of the Detroit Jazz Festival Foundation, Chris Collins. Chris, welcome to the Metro.
Jerome, thank you. And Tia, it's like the hippest intro I've ever got with the music and all y'all here at DET. Wow, that's the real deal.
Well, we gotta set you up in just the right way. So first of all, tell us, how important is it that the Detroit Jazz Festival is accessible and open to the public?
No, that's key. 45 years now. It's one of the granddaddy festivals here in Detroit, but just importantly, it's one of the granddaddy premier festivals in the world, rated at the very top. And you can imagine trying to run a jazz festival is one business. Trying to run something that's entirely free is a completely separate business. It's a heavy lift. It's about $4.5 to $5 million we have to raise every single year. And it speaks to the fragility of these kind of art events. They really require the philanthropic support of our great sponsors, great Miss Aid, who her endowment continues to make a donation every year, but none of it is the whole pie, So it's a challenge. But to your question, the reason we work so hard at it, there's hardly any festivals in the world of this ilk that does it anymore. And it's because it's financially challenging. But Detroit, the citizenry, the companies here, they get it. That if you break down barriers to participation, the things we all talk about diversity and inclusion, they want to happen, man. But there's often too many barriers. So it's the job of the institution to work really hard to remove those barriers. And guess what? It just happens because it's sitting there waiting to happen. And you go to jazz festivals all around the world and you won't see the whole community there because the tickets are $20, $50, $100, right, for a show. And even if we charged $10 at the gate, which people say, wow, that'd be great income, and 325,000 people coming, 1.6 million on the live streams in 32 countries. But dig it, you got a couple of kids, that's $40 for one day. That's $160 for all 4 days. It would just exclude too many people. So keeping it free is essential for that. And it creates one of the best jazz audiences, as any artist will tell you. They're here in Detroit because of that diversity and that different generational mix. But you can imagine if that went away, the messaging, the accessibility would all be diminished. But the emphasis has to be the community's got to support it, like any cultural, artistic thing. Otherwise, history will look back, and they judge cultures by what they honored in their art, what they valued. And, if there isn't the support, it goes away.
So much has changed when it comes to music, when it comes to culture, specifically American culture. How do you keep jazz relevant? Maybe a different way of saying that is, how do you introduce jazz to those kids you were just talking about that, might not have $40 to come to a festival?
Yeah. Well, look, jazz is a living, breathing art form because it's happened in the last 100 or so years as compared to classical or Baroque music. We know the history of it. And it also, people can get, the assumption that Detroit Jazz Festival being a real jazz festival, it's about jazz of 1958, it's not. I mean, jazz has influenced every music in America. It is the root of American music. It's the first music that the rest of the world said, dig what has happened in America. We got to start to pay attention to their music because nobody else does this. So, it still inspires entirely new classes of musicians every generation to invest in it. What we want to inspire the listeners, and we want to put out in the name of propagating the music. When you come to the Detroit Jazz Festival, all the music is coming from the language and the history of jazz, but where people take it is full and creative, and that's going to be something special for everyone, I can promise you.
And just building off of that, we talked about it just a little bit, and you just hit on it perfectly. But how jazz influenced so many genres of American music. I mean, one of the biggest ones was learning about the live bands that played at Motowns for the recording sessions, where a lot of them, if not all of them, were jazz musicians. And to hear that and how jazz inspired Motown, and then how that went on to inspire the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Can you just talk about that continuation of jazz's hands in the creation of musical genres?
Yeah, to me, the key to life is collaboration, listening to other people, engaging with them, and then we create something together that we all own, right? I once had an interview when we had the celebration of Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, and they were doing stories, and they got a couple calls. And one of them was, talking about the political references and the message behind the music. And I said, what I want to talk about is read the liner notes, because what you will see at the Motown sessions, and that was a good example, you will see classical musicians from the Detroit Symphony, you will see jazz musicians from the community, you will see composers who work on film scores, and Marvin and the cats at Motown were smart enough to let those people do what they did, right? And in Detroit, we're a family, community-based people. We're always coming together, whether it's a barbecue or a concert, whatever, church, it's what we're about. And all those entities came together, and it created a sound the whole world went, where is this coming from? And what it's coming from is a community of people with different expertise. And I've seen that in the electronic revolution here in Detroit, in jazz certainly, and just who we are as a people. And that's a big thing we want to get out to the world, is dig who we are, because it's a beautiful family here.
So if you're just joining us on the Metro, we're chatting with the president and artistic director of the Detroit Jazz Festival Foundation, Chris Collins. We're talking about this year's Jazz Festival weekend. So, Chris, what can Detroiters expect to see on opening night and throughout the festival?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I always have to emphasize, people can't get out of their house or they're out of town. Free live streams, DetroitJazzFest.org, and on all our YouTube channel and Facebook and social channels for free. And last year we were metriced by an external company, 1.6 million viewers in 32 countries. That's available to everybody, so you don't have to miss a thing, first of all. But if anyone who's checking out the festival on opening night, it's the beginning of many special performances. A world premiere of Translinear Light, which is Robbie Coltrane, Michelle Coltrane, the Coltrane Home, Brandy Younger playing Alice Coltrane's newly restored harp, which, by the way, is in Detroit right now. We're letting it settle and tuning it.
I got chills.
It's a relic. It's an American iconic relic. And so it's all from the family and from the great musicians. Reggie Workman is here, who played with the Coltrane Quartet and Blakey for all those years. He's part of it. The point being, it's a premiere with our Jazz Fest string orchestra as well. And then our artist in residence, great Brian Blade, who will be playing throughout the festival in different settings, just killing it with the great artists. So that starts it off. And then Saturday, Sunday, and Monday from about 11 a.m. until the wee hours, there are all the stages lit up all day with different acts. And then at night on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we have the Midtown After Hour specials right up here by WDET over at the new, about to be open today, Gretchen C. Valet Jazz Center. And that's 10 o'clock on Friday, 10:30 and 11:30 on Saturday and Sunday with Kurt Rosenwinkel, John Coward, and some great musicians. And it's all free.
Free.
All right.
That's the biggest thing.
Chris Collins is the president and artistic director of the Detroit Jazz Festival Foundation. The Detroit Jazz Festival will be held in downtown Detroit tomorrow through Monday. Chris, so glad to have you here.
Pleasure's mine, guys. Keep it cool, because you always do.
Yay! That's the Metro for Thursday, August 29th. You can listen to recent episodes online at WDET.org. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform. This is WDET-FM, Detroit Public Radio, your connection to news, music, and conversation. Thanks for listening, and we will return tomorrow.